Welcome to your Allyz Community Podcast. I'm your host, Juan Rodriguez. And I'm so excited today for the podcast we're going to have. It means a lot to me what's going to be the person that I'm interviewing today. Our special guest is not just any guest. For me, is my mentor, is my friend, my coach, and I will call it. It's like the father for me in this industry. And I remember when I started the collision repair business, always wanting to serve the community with dignity and respect and provide a great service. And like many business owners in this industry, we started because we love what we do, we're passionate, but we have no idea how to run a business. We're just passionate, we're good at what we do, and we decided to open a business. And I remember making the most critical phone call in my life. It was when I was trying to please two masters in the business in my business career, trying to please the consumer, provide a great service, great product, but I was going out of price, out of business because I was paying the price of trying to please two people, the insurance master and the consumer. And unfortunately, in this industry, it's impossible to do that. And I am so excited to have Barret Smith, the founder of Auto Damage Experts, and he's the one that I make that phone call that day with tears on my eyes. And this guy rocked my life. It was what? How long it's been, Barret?
It's been probably 6 years now.
Yeah, and I remember it's one of those things when the student is ready, the mentor appears, and Barret definitely was there for me. And Barret, I'm so happy to have you here in this podcast. This was a vision and something that I've been wanting to do to educate and empower and edify the Orlando consumers so they understand the ins and outs of dealing and handling with claims with insurance companies. Not only for vehicles, um, we deal insurance for pretty much everything: houses, boats, jewelry, electronics. It's now this world is run by insurance, and we buy insurance for everything. So can you please share with the Orlando community who Barret Smith is and why Auto Damage Experts is here in Florida to help the consumers?
Well, it all began, I was born and raised in the collision repair business. My father and mother ran a successful collision repair business in Washington State and Alaska. And, I started at early stages of sweeping floors and cleaning cars and things like that for customers. Finally, I went in the Air Force during the Vietnam conflict. Um, Eventually, I went to Texas for basic training, then to Texas in Shepherd Air Force Base I became a pharmacologist, a technician in the pharmacy. And then when I got out, I was in Tampa, Florida at MacDill Air Force Base. So I started a body shop because that's what I knew. I was also going to technical school under the GI Bill to get a formal training in the craft of collision repair. Um, After that, I left there and went to work for Progressive Insurance Company. After about 5 years with my company, I went to Progressive for 5 years as a senior claims adjuster, which gave me a very good insight to the collision repair business and the insurance industry. It allowed me to go to all body shops across Central Florida and learn from the best and learn what not to do from the worst, as it were. And the collision repair industry is just that. It's from the best of the best to the worst of the worst and everything in between. So early on, I decided that there was a right way to do things and a wrong way. I was kind of a country bumpkin because in Alaska, most people are have integrity and do the right thing in the right way for the right reasons because people depend on them.
Mhm.
And so, after I was an adjuster for a while, I started another body shop with a friend of mine. I managed a couple dealerships. We had an independent shop in a dealership, And then finally, I broke out of there and started my shop in Brandon, Florida, Central Florida, which I ran for 15 years. And we won a lot of awards and a lot of recognition for our consumer fairness. And then I left there and started, well, actually, while I was there, I started Auto Damage Experts to do diminished value assessments. And the reason really why is because the insurance companies in my shop kept telling me, nobody else is asking for this. You're the only one that would ask for this. Not only was I the only one in Tampa Bay, I was the only one in the universe, I was told by several insurance companies. So I started doing diminished value through a company originally called RecCheck. And my mentor there was a gentleman named Jim Linus, who taught me about diminished value and doing the right thing in the right way for the right reasons. And the reason I did that is because when you do a post repair inspection, you're looking at the estimate that the car was repaired by. So I could see if these other shops within my community were indeed charging for these things or if they were getting paid for them. And they really gave me a great insight, which then helped me improve my business and my billing practices. And so after I left Brandon Paint and Body, I started doing ADE or Auto Damage Experts full time. And again, going into various shops throughout Central Florida, and it enabled me to go to trials and courts as an expert witness. Um, and we ended up offering our services to actually all facets related to collision repair or total losses, things of that nature. And we offer our services to what I say is to anybody who wants to know the truth, whether it be insurance companies, attorneys, consumers, body shops. And as you know, as one of my clients, I consult and coach body shops all over the country. And they're usually they have to meet a certain threshold of being ethical. They have to be quality minded and serve the consumer in the market that they serve. As a matter of fact, our mission statement, ADE's mission statement, is to develop, implement, and provide optimal services to all interested parties in a professional, fair, and impartial manner, which enables consistent growth and success of the organization and its valued team members while maintaining the position of leadership in the marketplace for the specialized services we offer. So does that answer your question?
Awesome. Thank you very much, Barrett. And the I remember when I called you, if you want to do, you told me if you want to do the things you want to serve and do the right things for the right reasons for the right people, I'll be able to mentor you and coach you. If you're just looking for a way of making money fast, I am not, because this is not a get rich quick scheme. And I was so happy, Barrett, that you were able to in my at at that time. That was exactly what I needed, because our industry is unfortunately is full of darkness, and people are being deceived, cheated, and they're at the end of the day they're stealing from them. And especially on the automotive side, that's the one that I deal with, seeing it every day, how we are trying to follow the manufacturer's guidelines to do a safe and proper repair, and trying our best as human ability to restore that vehicle back to pre-loss conditions. And we are not allowed to do it unless we get the customer involved, because at the end of the day we have no power. The consumer is the one that has the power to exercise the right on their policy. And you open a whole new world for me uh, once I started being mentor and coached by you. And one thing that I like to do during this podcast, especially with you, since you work for one of the top carriers in the industry, let's talk a little bit about what are the ABCs of claims on the claim process. A lot of people don't understand what is being a claimant. Can you explain to the community really quick what means being a claimant?
Yeah, with regards to the collision repair industry and people involved in automobile accidents or acts of God such as hurricanes and hail damages and things like that, and also maybe striking an animal or damages in that nature. So you have collision, which is coverage for your automobile. You have comprehensive, which is all acts other than collision, such as again, hail, storm related damages, flooding, things of that nature. And then so you're a first party claimant, which means you're first party to the contract and you're making a claim against the insurance company that made you all their promises. Um, if you're a victim of somebody else's negligence, such as you're hit by somebody else, then you become what they call a third party claimant, or a claimant, generally referred to as claimant. So you would be seeking damages from the at fault party's insurance company. And with that, you have certain things you have to be concerned with, such as their limits. I think the minimum limits in Florida is $10,000.
Mm-hmm.
But today's repairs, with the technology of today's automobiles, $10,000 isn't a whole lot. And people really need to reconsider their coverages and probably at least get 50,000. Because if you're involved in an accident, you rear end somebody and they rear end somebody. So it's a chain reaction. You could easily be out that 50,000 real quick. For sure, you're going to be out 10,000.
Definitely, that's for sure. And Barret, when somebody exercises the right to file a claim, what is the process of filing a claim?
Well, generally, if there's involved in an accident, you of course want to get as many witnesses as you can. Unless you were at fault, then you hope nobody shows up. You probably want to have a police report done so it can become a matter of record. And then you would call your carrier, or you call the at fault party's carrier and say, I want to make a claim. And then, of course, they take over from there. One of the things I would caution consumers on, here's the deal. Insurance companies know what they're doing, and they're very, very good at it. Most consumers don't know what they're doing, and they're not good at it at all. So what they do is they end up trusting all those insurance companies that advertise, the good hands people, like a good neighbor. It's so easy, a caveman can do it. And, all these kind of really cute commercials. But really what you're doing is you're putting yourselves in the jaws of the beast sometimes, because the insurance companies have one focus, and that's to save money. So here's the way you got to look at it. When you buy insurance, you're gambling that you're probably going to need it at some point.
Yes.
Insurance company sells it to you, gambling that you're not going to ever need it. So they take all those proceeds and all those premiums, and they reinvest them into the, art or stock market or whatever they do to generate more money. And then when you have a loss, they immediately go into damage control to try to minimize whatever their expense is going to be. So unfortunately, that has bred a whole lot of contentious arrangements in the collision repair industry. You yourself, you're a high quality, conscientious service provider who works for the consumer. You want the consumer to have good care, good representation, as somebody looking out for their best interests, which is totally contrary to what insurance companies do. They want the consumer to remain ignorant so that they can provide them whatever they need to get the consumer back on the road, even though it may not be totally right or totally safe, but it's a cost-effective way of handling the claim. So insurance companies are concerned about two things: avoiding liability and retaining their money, the money that was paid in on premiums. The consumer should be more concerned about retaining the value of their vehicle. In other words, a damaged vehicle loses value. This is known as diminished value. And also that the car is returned to its pre-loss condition to the best of reasonable human ability in appearance, safety, function, and value. So automatically, they're diametrically opposed. The body shop is a quality shop who's trying to serve their customer properly wants everything they need to be able to provide that repair, and the insurance company is trying to hold on to everything and not pay any more than they absolutely need to. And of course, then the customer's stuck in the middle. So the most important thing a customer can do is find a collision repairer who they can trust, who will represent their best interest in the proper repair. unfortunately, there's insurance companies have infiltrated, if you will, the collision repair industry. They've divided them. So you have the high quality service provider, you have the high volume, low value service provider, you have everything in between as far as the what I call the shake and bakes. And we've heard of, the Econo Bake, Electro Bake, Facto Bake, all those guys who, refinish cars in a very inexpensive and unfortunately a low quality manner for the most part.
Mhm.
Using less quality components and materials, and quick in, quick out kind of stuff. So the industry is fragmented. And then to make it worse, the insurance industry has come in and made special sideline agreements with some body shops, what we call the high volume shops, to say, if you repair cars the way we want you to repair them, we're going to refer clients to you. So
Lots of clients.
so the unwary consumer, which is I'm probably the majority of your listeners right now, they're going to have to try to trust somebody. So the first thing they do is they call the good hands people or the good neighbors, or so easy a caveman could do it kind of people, and they say, no problem, we have our preferred shops who we're going to refer you to, and they're going to take care of everything, and you won't have any out of pocket expense, and everything should just be warm and fuzzy because it's so easy a caveman could do it. So if a consumer goes to one of those shops, they're not representing the consumer, they're representing the needs of the insurance company. If they end up going to a high quality shop like Allyz, then you're going to be representing their interest with the insurance company. And if the insurance company says, no, we're not going to pay for that, then what I encourage my shop clients to do is edify and educate and inform the customer so they can make the right decision, which best for they and their family's safety and economic well-being. I know that's a lot of information, but it's important information.
Thank you, Barrett, and it's incredible. We try to educate our clients when we do the consultation. This is a three-person deal. You have the repair facility, you have the insurance company, and the vehicle owner. Whoever two get together, the third person will lose. And typically, what happens? Somebody will find I will call a one of those uninformed, uneducated shops that they commit fraud and they save deductibles and they overpromise and underdeliver. The client and the shop are in it together to try to take advantage of the insurance company, which is not fair at all. Then you have the direct repair shop, which is the contracted shop that works for the insurance company, is in bed with the insurance company under a contract. Those two are together. The owner of the vehicle is going to get the bad repair. So what we try to do, and the beauty of I call it the ADE system, is a pro fairness where everybody gets what is righteously owed to them. The insurance company is betting that you're never going to get into an accident. Unfortunately, that's their business. If they lose, they have to pay. So our job as a repair facility is not to take advantage of the insurance company, is to provide you a safe and proper repair and restore the vehicle as best as human ability, following manufacturer's guideline back to pre-loss conditions as best as we can. And it will never be the same because we're repairing something. And this is where we're going to be touching what is diminished value, because when the repair facility repairs your car in a really efficient way where it's hassle free and is very fast, trust me, they're cutting corners and they're not following manufacturer's guidelines. And at the end of the day, consumers, you're the one who's going to be paying the price and the consequences of utilizing replica, counterfeit, junkyard parts, not doing the right procedures, not following the manufacturer's guidelines, and you're going to have a vehicle that you are hoping that is repaired correctly and is safe. Unfortunately, we in our career we've been doing post-repair inspections, and 7 out of 10 failed miserably. They're unsafe, and the consumer gets a really subpar repair, and we inform the consumer, and sometimes these cars diminish drastically. And one thing is the diminished value that the vehicle is going to have because it got involved into an accident. Something that is called Carfax. Everybody, when they buy a used car, kind of see the Carfax. It's a report that tells you if the car has been into an accident. But that report alone doesn't tell the whole story. That's why you need to find an expert. I call them one of my allies, which is auto damage experts. We got others that we're gonna have it in the community podcast that do diminished value inspections. They do the post repair inspections, and they do pre-purchase inspections of the vehicles. And a lot of people ask us, but why would you have somebody critiquing your work, Juan? It's like, you know something? I love it. Why? Because it makes me raise the bar of the quality of the repairs, and he holds us accountable. And I love it because that's what sets Allyz Auto apart from the rest. We do high quality repairs that the consumer, when they get their car back, they have the peace of mind that we did everything as best as our human ability and the resources that we have. And we're pretty good at what we do. And
You're very good.
Please share with the consumers why somebody needs to pick the right expert who's going to repair their car correctly, and why somebody needs to do what is called a post-repair inspection. And then we're going to really dive into what diminished value is, because it's costing billions of dollars to the American population. They buy a house. I believe there's 3 main investments that we do as Americans here. First is our education, which a good education could be hundreds of thousands of dollars. Second will be a home. Now the price of a home is 300,000 plus. And then the price of a vehicle, which right now a basic vehicle is 30 to 40,000, sometimes even hundreds of thousands. So Barret, please share with our community why it's important to choose the right expert, and how to spot them, and how to ask the right questions so they don't get into the jaws. You mentioned, I love that word, I didn't write it, the jaws of the beast. That's what you said?
It may have been one of my that
I love it because it's true. You call your agent. If it was 15 years ago, your agent had your best interest in mind. Unfortunately, now they don't. All they want to do is sell policies, and they're getting incentivized. If you don't use your rental car, if you don't make a claim, they are selling you a product that they don't want you to use, and they get dinged for it. So, Barret, go at it, because here it's going to be a deep dive. So put on your seatbelts, because it's going to be a good one.
Yeah, it's not going to be that hard to explain. I mean, I'll use an analogy because most people don't know about auto body repair, or they know they don't want to get involved in an accident, but that's about as much as they know. And they have this sense of well-being that they have insurance. So if something should happen, I'm going to be taken care of. But the problem really is when the insurance company is managing the claim and telling a shop how to repair it, and then a good quality shop pushes back and says, no, that's not the way to do it. They have to involve the customer, and the customer should want to be involved. Because here's an example. If you had a loved one and they were gravely ill, and you took them to the emergency room at the hospital, and they didn't know what was wrong with them, but they needed to do certain tests. So the doctor comes out at the counter and he said, listen, we need to run some tests. We need a CT or MRI scan or whatever to find out, to try to get to the bottom of this, to stop it, because Your loved one is degrading rapidly. And so I'm going to call your insurance company and see if they'll approve it. So he leaves his office door open and you hear him in there talking to the adjuster. And they say, no, doc, we're not going to invest in a heavy, MRI or a CT scan, just do a standard dye test and we'll know, we'll find out anyway. And the doctor says, yeah, but that's going to take at least 24 hours for the lab results where I can get do a CT or MRI for in 15 minutes and know what we're going to do and we can treat this patient. No, doc, that's all we're going to pay for is just a dye test. So you hear the doctor sigh and he hangs up and he's scribbling notes in the file. And finally he comes out to you and says, okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to do a dye test and we're going to find out, what's ailing your loved one and get them taken care of as soon as possible. Well, you just overheard the conversation. So you know what's going on. You know there's a better way. And you should be very, very upset that your doctor is not working on your behalf to make sure that your loved one gets the proper treatment. And so that's, nobody's gonna just say that's okay that the doctor did that, but this is what goes on every day in body shops because the body shops, no, we're not paying for that. We're going to pay for this. But what they don't want the shop informing the customer. Let me share this little story with you. When I had my shop at first, we were trying to be a direct repair program for everybody because that was how you get work in the shop. And it took us 9 months to get on USAA's STARS program. And we had to buy special insurance. We had to send them all sorts of photographs and to make sure that we were a viable company. And then finally we got on it. And the very first customer I got was a retired gentleman from Michigan who worked for General Motors. And him and his wife came in. They were elderly and they had a late model Buick. And I wrote an estimate on it. And I was going over with them. And I says, listen, sir, USAA mandates that we write for aftermarket parts. Man, he cut me off. He said, oh, no. You're not using that garbage in my car. And I said, excuse me? He says, hey, I'm a retired GM worker. And there's no way that you're going to use alternative or aftermarket or Taiwan tin. You're not going to use that stuff on my car. I said, okay, I get that and I understand that, but let me do this. Let me get you on the phone with the insurance company and perhaps they can explain it or you can let them know what your concerns are. So I got him on the phone with the claims adjuster in my office. And it wasn't a couple minutes later, my office manager paged me and says, hey, you have a call in line too. I said, who is it? And they said, it's USAA. And it was the big shot that I had dealt with to get on this program. And he says, Barret, what the heck are you doing? I says, what do you mean, Mike? He says, I got a client on the other line, a policyholder saying you told them we wanted you to use aftermarket parts. I said, well, yeah, that's what you told me. He said, yeah, but you're not supposed to tell them. And I said, well, that's not the way we conduct business, Mike. I said, we believe in full transparency. This is before the word transparency got popular, but we want to make sure our customers know what we're doing so we can avoid the potential liabilities with these parts. And he goes, no, you can't do that. And I said, well, Mike, that's the way we conduct business. He said, consider yourself taken off the program. So it took me 9 months to get on the STARS program. It took about 45 minutes to get kicked off because we were trying to do the right thing in the right way for the right reasons. But most body shops won't do that. They'll just do it. They won't tell you. They won't inform or educate you. They'll just get your car in, fix it the way the insurance company wants them to do it. And the reason they do that is because they have a fear of being taken off the program because they're going to lose that revenue. So here's what happens. Most high volume body shops become reliant upon all the various insurance companies' referrals. And the last thing they can afford to do or want to do is to lose any of that business. So think about it. I want your listeners to think about it this way. Is a body shop going to fight for your rights because to serve one customer with the understanding they may lose $1 million, $2 million worth of business in the year to come because the insurance company not only will not send work to that shop, they'll do their best to steer work away from that shop. So it's very, very important for a consumer to be very cautious as to who they select to represent them in their needs when it comes to a proper collision repair. So let's talk about aftermarket parts for a second. Aftermarket parts are parts that are manufactured by somebody other than the manufacturer of the automobile, which they call the OEM, the original equipment manufacturer. They might be made in Vietnam, they might be made in Taiwan, they might be made in Mexico. And what they are is they're copies or duplicates, or, and I hate to use the term generic because they're not generic, they're not the same as. What they are is they're knockoffs,
They're knockoffs, yeah.
and they're not crash tested. So we don't know if we use those parts in repair, a repair can't say that, yeah, they're going to react the same in a post repair collision as your parts did, because your airbags went off at a certain specific timing. There was energy absorption, energy management to protect the consumers inside the vehicle, the occupants. But with aftermarket parts, they're not crash tested. The National Highway Traffic and Safety Administration doesn't test those parts. It doesn't approve them. So it's a crapshoot. We don't know if those parts are going to react the same. It's like reconditioned wheels. I mean, a reconditioned alloy wheel could have fractures and fissures well inside the wheel that you can't see. It might look perfectly good, and it's a lot cheaper than a factory replacement wheel. But if a family, if family's going down the road, they turn a corner and the wheel fails and they crash and roll over and cause injuries, the likelihood is nobody's going to attribute that loss to that defective wheel. They're going to say it was driver error or the wheel got damaged as a result of the accident. So, but insurance companies save millions of dollars a year with reconditioned rims. That's one of my hot spots. I can't. I hate that the consumers are putting in a harm's way in that. But again, it's an effort contained
Sorry,
cost.
sorry to cut you off on that, but we're gonna do another podcast just talking about wheels and windshield repairs and replacement, because I know that's another pet peeve of ours that we want to make sure we educate the consumer. And
Yeah.
we're having all this, I call it the smoke and mirrors. You got all these billions of dollars they spend in TV commercials telling you that you can have a safe and proper windshield replaced when you're watching a football game.
Yeah.
So just the glue, the adhesive used to adhere that glass and bond it to the structure of the vehicle, it tells you on the instructions, must wait minimum of 24 hours before that vehicle can be driven. But
Yes.
we will talk about that later. I know Barry has some amazing stories when it comes to windshield replacements. And one thing that with a very serious face, these partner shops, they're good hands shops, they'll tell you, oh, this certified replacement parts that your insurance company is having us use in your vehicle, they come with a lifetime warranty. When was the last time that somebody that passed away was able to collect a warranty?
Right.
You put a used component, a suspension, that a car that somebody stole it, they went through many curves, stop sign, the car maybe flipped over, and that's the part that they want us to use in that vehicle.
Well, what they're doing is they want to use a component from a totaled vehicle that's sitting in a salvage yard. Like you said, we don't know what the history of that is, the way it was driven, but it looks good. So let's go ahead and use it.
Oh, they clean them, they make them look like brand new. You'll be amazed. And they come with a certificate and
Yeah.
everything. And the insurance company tell the customer, oh yeah, if there's any problems, there's a warranty.
Yeah.
Guys, when you try to collect a warranty from these providers, it's easier to get an act of contrast passed before you get a warranty.
Well, here's
I
the problem. Insurance companies don't fix cars. Therefore, they shouldn't write estimates on how to repair them any more than your shop should sell insurance.
That's right. The job of the insurance company is nothing but a bank. They
They're,
bet, they wrote a contract that if you get into an accident, they're going to pay. They have no business of how to repair cars or how to dictate repairs. And the sad thing is, Barrett, that when they find a consumer that holds them accountable of their contract and they end up being in court. Most of the times they never go to court, but sometimes they do. The insurance companies end up saying what to the jury and to the judge, Barrett?
First thing they say is, we don't fix cars. We pay to fix them, and we expect the repairs to be done properly.
And then the repair expert looks like a fool. And it's sad, but that will be a whole different podcast too. We're gonna have Barrett with us in the future. So Barrett, why the consumer, after they pick a good professional to fix their car, they you recommend to have it post repair inspected, and why they should be able to get a diminished value if it wasn't their fault? They were in a third party position.
Yeah, in Florida, the only party that will pay diminished value is going to be the at-fault party, whether it be the driver or their insurance company. But ultimately, the driver, the at-fault driver, is ultimately responsible. But they, like yourself, are relying upon the insurance company to protect them. Okay, so you get a post-repair inspection, number one, to make sure the repairs were done to manufacturer specifications. And of course, we can only look so far. We can only look at the cosmetic aspect of the vehicle, open the doors, open the hood, look around. But if we find things that are damaged, and remain damaged, latent repair, latent damage, loss-related damage, poor repairs, ill-fitting parts, aftermarket parts, all of those things are should be notified, or at least the customer should be notified that those exist. Also, it has a lot to do with the diminished value of the car, the loss in value. And no, here's the deal. Once a car is damaged, you can't unring the bell. It's always going to have a history of being damaged. Now, you mentioned Carfax earlier. There's Carfax and AutoCheck, but they don't know everything.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have a listing of every loss. I mean, let's say if you backed out of your driveway and ran into the neighbor's concrete block mailbox and damaged your car, and then went and had it fixed on your own, no police report or anything, then Carfax is probably not going to be made aware of it. So, it's always a good idea to get a pre-purchase inspection as well, but that's for another day. So anyway, the diminished value aspect is the loss in value to the vehicle as a result of the loss, of the prior damage. And then how much your diminished value is going to be contingent upon numerous factors, such as severity of the damages sustained, the invasive nature of the repair cost, or the repair costs, and also the quality of the performed repair. So there's three types of diminished value. There's inherent, simply because the vehicle has a history of damage, there's going to be a loss in value. Then there's insurance related. If the insurance company calls for aftermarket parts and things of that nature, and one of their direct repair program shops or another shop uses those, that could be attributed to diminished value. And also quality of repair as provided by the service provider. A poor quality repair doesn't restore the value as much as a proper and thorough repair.
Excellent, Barrett. Thank you. Thank you for going over that. And based on your experience, because I know you prepare a lot of diminished value reports in your career, average accident, typical fender bender, what's the typical, what's the inherent percentage ballpark of what a car diminish?
Well, it really depends. It really depends the year, make, and model of the car. I mean, you take a $240,000 Ferrari with a minor, parking lot ding, it could be tens of thousands of dollars. You take a 10-year-old, 12-year-old sedan, and it gets the same amount of damage. It could be minimal. It could be 5% of the pre-loss value. So, there's a lot of issues involved in there. It's not a 1, 2, 3 evaluation. We take in consideration the cost of repair, the severity of the repair, was there structural damage, was there frame damage, all of those things. And then, of course, the pre-loss condition and value of the automobile has to be ascertained. And then we make an opinion, our professional expert opinion, as to what that loss is. So to answer your question, it could be anywhere from 5% of the prior actual cash value up to, I've got one right now. I've got a 2022 Rivian pickup Adventure, had $40,000 in repair. It's a $97,000 car. So it's probably going to have a 25, 30% loss in value, even though the repairs were done professionally and done very well.
And let me ask you, Barrett, you said that Rivian had $40,000 worth of repairs, right?
Yes, sir.
Right now, and something that I want you to tell the consumer, there's a lot of companies out there online servicing, saying that they can do a diminished value without inspecting the vehicle, without even looking at it physically. And I know they're using a formula based on the repair amount. And it's really simple. The car had $40,000 worth of damage, is this much. And unfortunately, that's that's a dual-edged sword. First of all, if the vehicle got repaired at the insurance preferred shop, the cost of repairs are going to be so drastically low. I will say, without shadow of a doubt, 50 to 60% under. That's what they
Yeah.
do.
Well, here's the problem you have with that is insurance companies are like anybody else. They know who's the top of the top, and they know who the bottom of the bottom is. There's a bunch of companies out there that profess to do diminished value. They're all over the country, and they do it via the internet with photos and copies of the estimate. Here's the problem with that. Unless you hold an insurance company's feet to the fire and be willing to take them to court, not just threaten it, but be willing to do it, the insurance company is not going to take you very seriously. Now, if they
Mhm.
know that your diminished value was out of Washington State and that they never saw the car, then it's going to be very easy to hire somebody like me to defeat that in court of law. Because if you haven't inspected the car, you can't determine what the pre-loss value was because you can't see, the condition of the vehicle, the cleanliness, and how well it's been maintained. So right away, you can't even establish the pre-loss value. If you didn't look at it, you can't evaluate the quality of the performed repair.
But it's funny how
But
you
let me finish this one. Here's the biggest thing is they know that assessor in Oregon or Washington State is not going to show up in court. So it's really advantageous to find somebody that's in your remote local area or surrounding area who can travel. I'm in the Tampa Bay area, but I go to Orlando all the time. So, it's important to have somebody who has recognition, who has the respect of the insurance industry, and who that in their needs, they'll be there for you. That alone will likely avoid going to court at all.
exactly, and always with the diminished value, when they use those formulas, the insurance companies love them because they know they're underbidding what they're supposed to pay. So
Well,
you send them one of those online diminished values, they're like, yeah, sure, we'll pay it. But you couldn't get the true value that the vehicle lost, that you find out when, if that value is when you sell the car. If you sell the car 5 6 years later, it's too late. Here in the state of Florida, you only have 4 years, right, to file what is called diminished value.
yeah, but diminished value is incurred at the time of the loss. So even 4 years later, if you do it before the statute of limits runs out, you still get your diminished value as it was at the time of the accident, not what the car's worth 4 years down the road,
Yeah.
right?
So let's face it, folks. You invest average 40 to 60,000 in a vehicle. If the vehicle diminishes 5%, that's a lot of money. But if you take the vehicle to a preferred shop, good hands shop, contracted shop, that your insurance company refer you, they don't have your best interest, you're going to have the diminished value on top of a poor repair. So that could double or triple the loss. And not only that, risking yourself and your family's well-being, that driving an unsafe vehicle, if you get into an accident, it may not perform the way it was designed, because that system was designed for a reason and how the engineer wants us to fix it. If we deviate from that, we're definitely jeopardizing the system. And the worst one is the financial well-being. That's what we care. We care about your family safety and your financial well-being, because let's face it, our cars are now a big part of our life. and we put a lot of our hard-earned money into those assets that they're depreciating every day. Barret, how can people reach you if they need your services?
Well, let me say this before I answer that. There's a saying we have here: never take advice on how to collect money from the people that owe it to you. So when you're getting estimates, go find a quality shop. Don't rely upon the insurance company. Find a quality shop that's going to do a proper and thorough assessment of your damages. Then I'll also leave them with this: better's never cheaper, and cheaper is never better. Now, if they want to get a hold of me, they can contact Auto Damage Experts. Well, it's autodamageexperts.com. So it's Auto Damage Experts, that's plural.com. And on our homepage, they'll find is under the phone number, it'll say start here. There's a toll-free number. And then there's an area that says start here. If they click on that, it's going to open up a client information form for them to complete with the necessary information for us to at least begin to establish their claim. Or they can call and we'll be happy to answer any questions they have. But if they fill out the client information form, I'll respond to that, or we'll respond to that. We have offices in Oregon and Washington State. We cover Florida. We cover the entire United States and its territories. So regardless of where they are, we can help them.
Excellent, Barret. And I want to thank you for being here with us. For me, it's an honor to have you here. It's one of my dreams coming through, being able to be that advocate, be that ally, be a true ally of the community of Orlando, to educate them, empower them, and edify them the right way. And not only that, being able to bring the information to them, because diminished value is the insurance company's best kept secret. Saves them billions of dollars, and they're saving that money on your behalf because their partner shops are not going to tell them. They don't want an expert going behind, checking their repairs and exposing the truth that they did a subpar repair. And most shops, they don't want to. They don't even want to know what it takes to fix a car correctly, because once you go into this rabbit hole of fixing cars correctly, you realize that you didn't know anything, and it's gonna be a whole new world. Just like happened to me when I didn't know any better. I was repairing cars fast, cheap, and I was trying to pay the price of pleasing the consumer and the insurance company. I was paying the price of going out of business, because not like that doctor has two decisions. He can do the procedure for free, take care of you because he really cares. But at the end of the day, that MRI machine, it's not going to pay itself. It's a big investment, and it's going to get worn out. And at the end of the day, if you're doing free work, that's called a nonprofit. Collision centers, repair facilities are not nonprofits. They're a for-profit business. They need to turn a profit in order to equip it, in order to train their staff, and provide that good, excellent quality of service that you deserve. And that's what we're trying to do. We are not against insurance companies. People, I'm here because you're the fighter. I'm like, no, I'm not a fighter. I'm just an advocate that is going to educate you, empower you, and educate you on what is righteously owed to you. And I want to service you that way. I don't hate them. I don't fight with them. We just let you know, and you, at the end of the day, you tell us how you want your car repaired. But we're not going to deceive you. Go ahead, Barret.
Well, I was going to say, using the analogy of the doctor, I mean, what I gave you was an example of a less than ethical doctor. Because, they have a Hippocratic oath to do no harm. Obviously, if he could have found a better solution to serve the patient, then he should have gone to the loved ones and said, listen, here's the deal. I think this is what your daughter or loved one needs. This is what the insurance company says they're going to provide for. What do you want me to do? That's what Allyz, that's what other high quality collision repairers do. They edify and educate their customers so they can make the right decision for them. If that means pay out of pocket and fight with the insurance company later, or fight with the insurance company now to get them to do what's right, accountability instills a whole lot of pressure on an insurance company. Once they know that you know what's going on, a lot of times they just capitulate and they get it done because there's a whole lot more people out there to take unfair advantage of.
Yeah, once you get into an accident, it's like being in a jungle. Everybody's after you. The repair shop, if you take it to an unethical shop, they're going to try to defraud the insurance company, tell you what you want to hear, and do as little as possible on that vehicle. If you take it to the repair facility that the insurance company refer you, you're not the customer there. They're going to take care of the insurance company with a big smile and hoping that you're never going to get the car post repair inspected. And then you have good ethical repair shops that have your best interest in mind, and they want to take care of that car like it was their own, and they want to take care of their team. That's us. And unfortunately, a lot of people don't like to hear this, but that quality of service comes with a premium, and we're not going to be the cheapest. Nobody that understands how commerce works, they understand that the best product, the best service, the best experience is the cheapest. It's never that way. It's going to come with a premium. But as a consumer, if you get that premium, you got to pay for it, but you're going to get the value. And that's what companies like Auto Damage Experts, Allyz Auto do. Barret, any closing thoughts for our Orlando community?
Yeah. A quality collision repair does more than just restores the damaged automobile. They restore your peace of mind. And that's probably the biggest thing I can leave you with. It's your choice. You can capitulate to the insurance company and let them handle it. Like I said, never take advice on how to collect money from those that owe it to you. Or you can take an active participation in the repair, deal with the repairer, ask the right questions, let them guide you on what was necessary. And then, it's sort of like an article I just wrote. How do you want your eggs? Tell the shop how they want you to repair the car, and then seek recovery from the insurance company. So it's really quite that simple.
It's that simple, but sometimes when emotions get in the way and logic is thrown out the window, you can make informed decisions. And insurance companies will love, they are expert of pushing those emotion buttons. So you start making emotional decisions. When you call somebody at the scene of the accident, already your emotions are compromised. They're like, all right, I'm gonna manipulate this into our advantage. That's why when you call an expert that cares and are through Ally, he's gonna guide you through the right path to make sure your family safety and your financial well-being is taken care of. And Barret, I love it how you said never take advice on how to collect money from the person that owes it to you. And I love always to close with a closing thought. This comes from the Bible, Proverbs 12:15. The way of the fool on is right on his own eyes. A wise person listens to advice. Hire an expert, hire somebody who has your best interest. Take your time, talk to them, ask questions, because at the end of the day, it's your family safety and your financial well being in the line here. And that's all we want. We want to be that ally in your corner. Hope this podcast was informational for you. Please go to our social media, Allyz Community Podcast on YouTube, Allyz Community on Facebook. You can always go to our site, allyzauto.com. And please like our content, share it with your family. People need to know about this information, because when you start looking at looking for it, it's too late because you already got into an accident. And it's sad for you to start looking for informations, qualifying if you got a good insurance, if you have a good provider, when you already have been involved in a car wreck. Barret, thank you very much for your time, and God bless you, and have a great day.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Orlando, for being here with us at another Allyz Community Podcast. Have a blessed day. Bye-bye.